Who Am I? By me, Richard Galbraith. Tolstoy said, "Who am I? What am I? This is the essence of life." And I feel it is this quote which perhaps best encapsulates our thoughts and feelings on the subject of self, of what we are, of who we are, because this is in everything. It is in every one of us, this question. And trying to understand it, trying to answer it, is fundamental to our very being. But as we all know, it's hard. Few of us, if any of us, ever really come to understand who we are or what we are. Indeed, how can we? As the philosopher Ernest Becker once said, man is literally split in two. He has the awareness of his own splendid uniqueness in that he sticks out of nature with a towering majesty, and yet he goes back into the ground a few feet blindly and dumbly to rot and disappear forever. What are we supposed to make of the in-between? What are we supposed to decide or know what it is that makes us so uniquely us? So, how grand and truly humbling a question it is when you're asked, who are you? Because indeed, that search is everything. That essence of life is in there. And yet, we've all been asked that question 1,000 times before. Who are you? What do you do? And we're supposed to answer like it's as simple as that. What are we supposed to say? What defines us? Most of the time, we simply follow convention and go straight to our work. And thus, I can say I'm a digital marketer and I work for a large toy brand. That I thrive in creative and high-stakes situations. That I enjoy problem solving and team-led imaginative thinking. But of course, we are all so much more than our jobs. I'm also a science fiction writer. Technically, I'm a published novelist. I'm a competitive triathlete, a marathon runner, a mountain hiker, a sculptor of concrete and clay. But I'm also a brother, a son, a friend, a lover. And isn't it these connections that are most important? Is it not these connections that we make and not the things that we do that hold us up in life and that make us who we are, form us into people that we want to be and teach us how to act? You know, I'm a heavy metal fan, a classical music lover. I run the wall of death with my comrades in those mosh pits, and I sit and I swim in the majesty of Shostakovich with a red wine in hand. I'm a reader of literature and genre fiction alike, fixed in my chair while sat and floating through the majestic worlds of writers like Gibson and Albert Camus. I'm a person that absorbs abstract expressionism and the world that it has to offer. I walk that bridge into the mind of other human beings through that expression of their very soul. I'm a kilt-wearing Scot of the clan Galbraith, and I'm very proud of my Celtic hereditary. I'm a world traveller and a pursuer of what some might call type B fun, seeking out new mountains to climb, new seas to swim, and fresh, wild plains to explore. I'm a cinephile, a sapiosexual, a psychonaut, an architecture addict, a student of philosophical texts, a traveller of hyperspace, and a meditator and wanderer of the inner mind. I am the eye of God. I am everything and I am nothing. Self is an illusion and the only truth is impermanence. So, what am I supposed to say to you? What am I supposed to say to myself when I am asked, who am I? I feel bound by these existential constraints of gravity and entropy and death, and yet I have the gift of imagination unbound. My spirit can soar, and yet it will ultimately fall into the well of nothingness, into that abyss, my consciousness dispersed into the grand void. I am trapped and battered by the trauma of this, of not only the inevitable slip of this mortal coil, but also the inevitable slip from this mortal coil of those that I love and cherish around me. But do I not try to fight this? Do I not try to transcend death with art? After all, it has been said that there are only two reasons we produce art: to get laid and to live forever. Me, the grand I, the poet and the noble savage of this world, do I not fight to leave behind something that can float into the infinite abyss beyond my own consciousness? Do I not drum on the door of entropy itself? Does this not make me a warrior too? So, who am I? What am I? A collection of all these actions? A combination of all these relationships? This metaphysical thought, this question that I have been asking and pursuing all of my life. Ever since I was a young child, and I would sit at the end of the garden playing with the ants and trying to understand the meaning of life. And what is in that essence of memory? What is in that thought there? That spark of electricity in my grey matter that takes me from here, from this place right now, to there, back then, where I sat in that garden on those hazy summer days. I am a collection of memories, a ghost composite of a billion thoughts, all interwoven and entangled and driven by a barely conscious and primordial will. I am a 3.5 million year old drive that was born out of the suffering of hundreds of thousands of generations of my ancestors. I am a skeleton covered in flesh, made of stardust and old as time itself. And yet this sack, this thing that I am contained within, this holder of all that I am, for everything that it can do, for everything that it can be, it is nothing. It is nothing compared to the frightening truth that I'm a walker on a spinning ball of rock and iron that's racing through the vacuum of space at 66,000 miles per hour. This thing, this Earth, orbiting a vast sphere of gas in which its core fuses 620 million units of hydrogen each second, and is just one star of 100 billion stars in one galaxy of 100 billion galaxies. So it's scary to think, is it not, when you look at the vastness of the cosmic play that happens out there, of just how small I am, of how small we are. What is my part in this play? Am I really so small? Am I the realization of my greatest fear? Am I nothing? Well, I would argue that I am not. Not because of all those things that I listed off that I do. Not necessarily even because of all those relationships that I have. That brother that I am. That friend that I try to be. That lover that my heart beats for. But because I have a choice. And I have to believe in this. It is this choice. It is this freedom that makes everything fundamentally different. It is my ability to say yes or no that makes me the grand spectacle of this grand universe. It was concentration camp survivor and philosopher, psychologist Viktor Frankl that said, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of all human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way." I am this thing trapped between my brain and the reality that I know, and it comes to life through my mind, and I make a choice. I am able to make the decision to know that I am a believer, I am a truth seeker and a freedom fighter. I have to be. What else do I have? I am me, I am responsible, and I am here to own it. Frankl said that we should not ask what the meaning of life is, but rather recognize that it is us who are asked. Each and every one of us is questioned by life, and we can only answer to life by answering to our own lives. To life, we can only respond by being accountable, by choosing to do good, by holding ourselves up and questioning what we are doing, and acting with that truth in our hearts, and that belief in good that we know we have in our souls. And so, who am I? What am I? I am everything. I am nothing. Here and now, on this jagged piece of rock, spinning through this little part of the grand cosmos where I've been placed, and this conscious mind has all the joy and fear that it brings, I am free. Because, after all, as the existentialists said, you can always make something out of what you've been made into.